Hi everybody, I'm Brooke. Welcome to my kitchen. Let's cook. Okay, I'm super excited. So my friend Tracy brought me over this big huge zucchini, and boy, I love zucchini. So I thought, well, what can we make with this big old zucchini? It's got some little boobers here on it. Do I care about that? Not in the slightest. Who cares if it's a little ugly? It's gonna cook up just fine. Let me bring you down so you can watch the slicing. Okay, most excellent. Alrighty, so let's get going. 1/4 inches, about like that. There we go. See? About like that. Okay. It's always a good idea to make sure your knife is sharp. I know, it's kind of counterintuitive, but a sharp knife is a safer knife. Now you want to try to make them all about the same size so that it cooks evenly. Otherwise you're going to get a bite, and that bite might be raw and the next bite might be cooked. Okay, so we have our zucchini. We'll put them right over here. Of course I washed it. Alrighty. Now for our tomato. We're going to go about the same length. Make sure you start your oven at 375. Make sure you have some foil, and make sure, or a cover for whatever casserole dish that you're going to be using. Okay, there we go. Okay, got my pans here. I'm going to grab a little bit of olive oil, and we're just going to put a little bit here. Doesn't take a whole lot. A little bit there. And we're just going to give it a swirl around just like that. As far as the cheeses are concerned, I'm using some low moisture mozzarella today because that's what I had. And some Asiago cheese, which is really yummy. It has a richness to it. Okay, let's layer. And maybe a couple of smaller pieces like this. There we go. We'll cut one in half. Put it there. Put a couple of tomatoes. You don't have to go crazy, folks. Doesn't have to be crazy. Yeah. Okay, we'll do that. There. Give a big cut. There. Put this one here. So you see, you get the idea. Super easy, no stress. I do like to layer with a little bit of salt. Oh, there's the oven, it's ready. A little bit of salt. There's some salt in, of course, cheese, we know that, but I put salt in my green chilies and in my red gravy. And so you don't really need a whole lot. Okay, so let's open this. Grab a spoon. And just put on however much that you like. If you don't like chili, these are a mild chili. If you like it spicier, use a spicier chili. But today I'm using this, and then I will put a little bit of red pepper flakes on probably. Okay, now we're going to put on some of this yummy marinara, red gravy, whatever you call it. Okay, doesn't have to be difficult. Just a nice layer, just like that. There we go. There we are. Now, I'm not using any onion in here, which you could slice some onion, but I'm going to use some onion powder, and it will go between each layer. And garlic, same thing. You could use fresh, but it would have to be super finely sliced. And for these types of applications, garlic powder works for me. And I have some, this is an Italian mix. It's basil, some parsley, some thyme, and some oregano. And I grow it in my garden. And I let them dry on the counter, and then I just crush them up, put them in a bottle. Okay, maybe a little bit of red pepper flakes, just a wee bit. Won't do it on every layer, probably just this one, maybe on the top. Okay, so just remember, this is a method. You use whatever it is that you like. I'm going to use a little bit of this low moisture cheese. Just tear it up. I do love cheese. Cheese doesn't love my waistline though, let me tell ya. So I don't need a ton of it. Nope. A little bit of this Asiago. Oh boy. Alrighty. So I'm just gonna keep on layering here. We'll throw it into the oven. And we'll cover it, and we'll bake it for, probably 35 to 40 minutes or so. And then we'll uncover it and test it with a fork to make sure it's tender. And then we'll bake it again for a little bit longer to get it kind of crusty on top. Yeah, I like that crunchy feeling, you know, the crust on top. You could do breadcrumbs too, but I'm not doing that today. But you could if you wanted to. There we go. There we go. No stress. I think I'm going to put this one right down there. There we are. Double layer. Okay. I do love these green chilies. There's one year I grew just an abundance of them. And then last year, not so much. You never know from one season to the next, you know? Maybe the soil just needed a little more amending. I didn't do enough. It's quite possible. Okay. Gravy. Okay, some garlic. I do love me some garlic. You guys like garlic? What kind of variations would you do on this? I'd love to know. You know, cooking doesn't have to be crazy. People can make it hard. They can keep it simple, still make it tasty. People ask me all the time, well, how do you know what to grow in your garden? Well, I grow what I like to eat. That makes sense, right? I think we might be able to get one more nice layer in here. Oh, wait a minute. We forgot some cheese. Never forget the cheese. Okay, cheeses. I know some people will say, well, that's just not enough cheese. Well, it's enough for me. So you put on what works for you. Yep. Okay. And this is what I had in my fridge. You could do anything you wanted. You could use cheddar cheese if you wanted. Ricotta would be good. If I had some ricotta cheese, I'd probably do that. I do that with my eggplant. I'll have to show you guys that sometime. In fact, I have an eggplant in the fridge, and I almost did this with the eggplant, but this zucchini really needed to be cooked, so I thought, I bet you this will be really tasty. We'll find out, won't we? Okay, super simple. Oh boy. Alrighty, one more little layer, and then we'll bake. Top layer look a little prettier. That's mishmashed. There we go. There we are. That's looking mighty fine if you ask me. Okay. Some of that sauce over there. It's good, folks. All right. So for this layer, I'm not going to put any more of that, the chili. Just going to do some marinara, and then we'll do some cheese and pop them in the oven. Oh boy, this is going to be a yummy breakfast for me. And yes, I did say breakfast. I grew up in the Orient, and well, we didn't eat a lot of sweet things for breakfast. Just wasn't one of the things that the Japanese did at that time, back in the 60s. So we ate savory foods for breakfast. And when we moved back to the States, I have to tell you, it was quite the rude awakening. Rabbits jumping out of cereal boxes and marshmallows, leprechauns. It's quite the shock to the system. Fortunately, my mother was a very healthy cook, and she didn't allow a lot of that stuff inside the house. She was bran flakes and Wheaties and grapefruit nuts, or those grape nuts. Then we'd go over to Nana's house, and she'd had all the good stuff, you know. It was funny. Always kind of a problem in the family. Don't feed my kids that stuff. Oh my gosh. But the good news is, I carried on with the teaching that she gave me, and now my children are all real healthy eaters for the most part. Okay, now let's get some foil. Okay, so this is a little bit on the high side. So what I'm going to do is kind of like do a tent so it doesn't get too stick to it too much. Sort of make a little tent. There you go. Something like that. All right. Oven is ready. Let's do one more. Oh, I'm so happy about this. And see how simple this is, folks? I mean, I'm literally doing this in real time with you so that you can see cooking yummy, healthy food. Aside from the cheese, it's a really healthy dish. And we didn't use that much. So this is simple. Okay, so I was right. I set the timer for 35 minutes, and let me show you. It turned out just how I like it. So I just took a fork and I forked it. And see how tender and delicious that is, and all the layers are there. It's got a nice gravy to it. And so now what I'm going to do is throw it back in the oven, and we're going to let it get all bubbly and nice and golden brown on top. And then once that's done, we'll let it cool off, and we'll eat. Okay, they're out of the oven. I left them back in the oven, same temperature. You don't need to hike it up at all. And I just put it in there for another like 10 minutes, and this is what it did. Let me show you. There they are. Yay! So I've got one for the freezer, and I'll eat some of this for my breakfast this morning. It's still quite warm. It ought to slice up just fine. So there we are, people. I'm super excited. Okay, so that's our recipe for today. I'm very curious. What would you do differently? Share with me in the comments below. We'll have a little conversation. That's what this is all about, really, right? Okay, folks. So if you like these kinds of videos, give us a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. I try to upload at least one video a week. And yeah, until next time, get in your kitchen and start cooking. Bye. See you next time.